There are a number of things you should not do in China. I will add a quick summary. Shadid Abdulmateen, a US citizen, was sentenced to death in China for killing GF as she tried to break up with him. Drug offenses are a big no. Don't mess up with drugs. China has no tolerance for drug menace. The penalties are high, and there is simply no escape. There are so many examples from the recent past where expats have been awarded the capital punishment. Don't create trouble with the locals. Don't attack women. The security system is very comprehensive. CCTV cameras are installed in every shop, restaurant, bars, pubs. Troublemakers will be caught. Don't get into politics. For example, Taiwan is a sensitive issue. You can't just say anything you want. If you are an American expat, you may be directly asked about your opinion on Taiwan issue. The locals, especially in Shanghai, prefer to discuss business over politics. Chinese people are patriotic. You are expected to show respect to the local culture. Don't try to enter China illegally. It's not easy to enter illegally in the first place, and even if you manage to do so, you will be caught. Also, don't overstay your visa. The penalties include 500 renminbi per day fine, with a possible ban on entering China again in near future. Don't expect to find spoons and forks in the restaurants. You need to get used to handling chopsticks. It's so important. Don't keep comparing China with this and that countries. China has its own charm. The more time you spend exploring China, the more you will discover.
Never take drugs. I'm a Chinese police. We once arrested 13 foreign junkies in a bar in May this year. Most of them took marijuana, and some took others. They were from 9 counties, so my colleagues joked that we'd caught a bunch of the 8-power allied forces and defeated the Opium War tonight. When I announced that they would be remanded in custody for 15 days, all of them were breaking down, repeatedly complaining that marijuana is legal in many countries, and some even claim that marijuana can prevent cancer. My English is not so good, so I didn't argue with them but just simply said, "This is China. Law is law." And this was not the end. A few days before the 15-day detention periods, I went to them again and announced that they would be deported from China and were prohibited from entering China within 5 years. 2 of them, one is from Luxembourg and another is from Portugal, were arrested by the punishment, for they were the organizers. Most of those people had been living a stable life in China for a long time, doing business, studying, or teaching as foreign teachers, etc. But they nearly lost everything they earned in China, just because they smoked some marijuana, which they thought to be legal. So, I think that the drug control is very severe in China. What should you not do when you visit China? Well, my suggestion is never take drugs.
Important. Do not do anything involving drugs. Chinese laws are incredibly harsh on drugs. The most common penalty for drug dealers, including foreign drug dealers, is death penalty. China already has quite a record of executing foreign drug dealers. Don't think you can get away with it for just packing a few drugs for your own usage. The court doesn't care. If you carry drugs with you over a certain amount, a small amount, you are punishable by death. You might get yourself killed if you dare try. And don't expect your government to save you. The governments of those executed foreign drug dealers did plead for mercy from Chinese government. Didn't work. Chinese government executed them anyway. Let me put it this way, you would rather be waving a Tibetan flag in Tiananmen Square than carrying drugs. The worst you can get from waving a Tibetan flag is just getting yourself kicked out of the country.
I currently live in China. There are a few things that visitors or newcomers should watch out for. Don't wear shoes inside someone else's house if there are lots of shoes at the entrance. If there's a bin beside a toilet with used toilet paper in it, discard toilet paper there, not in the toilet, or the result will be clogged pipes. This is not an issue in hotels or new apartments. It is mainly in rural areas. It is related to the fact that some older buildings have smaller pipes that are likely to clog. Don't take drugs or carry a gun in China. If you're lucky, they will deport you. If you're unlucky, you will go to jail. Don't tip unless you really want to, or if you're at a high-end hotel or restaurant. Staff will generally be confused and run after you with the change. You can if you want to, but it isn't normal or expected. Don't be an ignorant tourist. Most travel sites and guides contain a list of common scams. China is safe unless you are driving, walking near people who are driving, or trying to breathe when the pollution is really bad. But there are lots of scams like the art student scam, the tea house scam, etc. Don't forget to get a VPN before you arrive if you want to access Facebook or Google while in China. Don't stab chopsticks virtually into your rice bowl since it looks like incense for dead people. Don't just cross the road without looking even if you are at a crossing. Don't drink the water unless it is from a water bottle, boiled, or you are at a high-end hotel. Good advice for most countries if you are a tourist. Don't eat street food that isn't cooked. Avoid cut fruit. Don't forget to bring tissues with you if you travel outside of the cities. Not everywhere has toilet paper once you go away from the big cities. Hand sanitizer is also good. Don't try to protest or evangelize as a tourist. It is fine to talk about issues if people ask first, but don't go up to Chinese people and hand out flyers, etc. Don't take signs/words too personally. Often the translation are hilarious but not politically correct. A lot of these have been removed from the big cities, but you can still find some.
It's about the drugs. If you are in China, for God's sake, never do anything illegal related to drugs. You can't imagine how serious is the anti-drug moment in China. Narcotics control in China is a very serious and comprehensive process. There is virtually 100% chance of being caught for drug-related offenses. You might know the penalty already. Capital punishment is a legal penalty in China. Frankly, drug abuse has been responsible for numerous social issues in China. If you understand Chinese history, you will realize how drugs created trouble for China. Opium wars are just an example. Hence, the government is extremely serious about eradicating the drug offenses. We expect everyone to cooperate with law enforcement. China is a beautiful country. You are welcome to visit China. Eat, drink, and have fun. Just keep in mind that you have to respect the law.
When visiting China, it is important to be respectful of the culture and customs. It is not appropriate to show public displays of affection, as this can be seen as offensive. Additionally, avoid discussing sensitive topics such as politics or religion in public settings. Refrain from taking pictures without permission and do not point with your index finger. Instead, use an open hand gesture when pointing at something or someone. Lastly, try to learn some basic Mandarin phrases before you visit so that you can communicate more effectively with locals.
Don't go to China with a closed mind, misconceptions that are generations out of date, expectations that come from bigoted news articles or comment sections, and a false sense of being superior because you're Western. Surprise! You will hear people openly denouncing the days of Mao and the Cultural Revolution 2 generations ago, the displacement of many when the Three Gorges Dam was built, and the pollution in the largest cities. The only subject forbidden is criticizing the president in public. However, Xi Jinping is far less dangerous than Donald Trump is. What you find there will be completely different than you read in the Western media: ultra-advanced technology and engineering, a friendly and exuberant people, evidence of ancient civilizations that rival anything in Peru and Egypt, which I've also been to, and the best culinary land you'll ever visit. The pollution is a true story, though, and as bad anything you'll see in New York City or Los Angeles, but they are united in working to reduce this. Starting with lowering their dependence on coal, starting new lines of electric cars, building green belts around places like Beijing, etc.